Welcome to Central Missouri Alumni Stories. I'm your host, Corey Bittner. Today I am joined by Joe Neuerberg. Joe is a principal and partner at 180 Capital Advisors right here in Kansas City. All right, Joe, thanks for taking the time to join me here today.
Yes, thanks for having me.
I am looking forward to our conversation. For our audience that's watching or listening, while Joe is in the, equity and debt financing space, that's one piece of what we'll talk about today and kind of how he's landed where he's at now, but also a nonprofit organization that you and your wife started a couple of years ago that is primarily revolves around Africa, right? And
yes.
Isaac's Dream is the name of the organization, and we're going to talk a little bit about that too. It's a noble cause and a neat organization. I'm looking forward to talking about that too. So thanks again for your time here today.
We're excited to be here.
Perfect. So just to kind of get us started at a real high level, just kind of as far as your personal background goes, where did you grow up?
Sure. So originally from Iowa.
Okay.
I was born in a little town, Carroll, Iowa, which where my dad and his family's from. We moved to Sioux City, and that's where I had a lot of my younger years, grade school, junior high. We lived just outside of Omaha for about a year. Another transition down to Maryville, Missouri, and then we ended up in Kansas City when I was a junior in high school.
Okay.
So this has been home since the late 80s, really.
Okay,
Yep.
Nice. So what high school was it here in Kansas City that you were at?
Park Hill, when there was just still one.
Just one, right?
Yeah.
No South yet, right?
Yep.
Okay, good. What led you to UCM?
Well, originally I started looking, being from Iowa, I wanted to go to University of Iowa as a first choice.
Yeah.
And, at 17 years old, I learned quickly the difference between in-state and out-of-state.
Yeah, tuitions, yeah.
And toured a few of the different schools here. I just liked the campus, the atmosphere, and actually I wanted to walk on to the basketball team there.
Okay.
And when I got to school, I decided that I wasn't going to do that. but that was kind of the main draw there.
Okay, nice. What did you study while you were there?
Originally, I came in as I was going to be an accounting major.
Okay.
I took an accounting class in high school and thought, well, this is really good. I like math, but then after my first class in college, I was like, yeah, this isn't going to work.
Really?
That's
funny.
Yeah, I ended up choosing finance. Was interested in, I just like, kind of cast a wider net too. I could get into, banking was appealing to me, or, financial planning, it's like what you guys do. So it was, just gave you some options. So I ended up studying finance there then.
Okay. Nice. So ultimately, when you graduated, your degree was a degree in finance. Then,
yes, yeah.
Was there any kind of emphasis or specialization inside of that?
No, there wasn't. So I technically had a double major, if you will. So through a grandfather clause, I think I took 2 or 3 more classes, and you could throw a management degree on top of it. But no special emphasis. But the finance and management were really the.
Nice. Okay. Good. What was the experience like when you were at UCM, or I guess CMSU at the time?
CMSU, right? Yeah. It was great. I mean, it was it's a kind of an intimate campus, but a larger D2 school. And I really enjoyed. I think college in general, you kind of figure out a little bit how to be on your own.
Yes, no, absolutely. It's a transformative age for people.
Exactly. So it was a really great experience overall. As I mentioned, I wanted to get into sports, and I'm not doing that. And then I was a founding father of a fraternity down there, so became involved that way. And
nice. Yeah. What was the fraternity?
ATO.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Good. So they've had how many founding fathers were there?
That's a good question. So that was, let's see, I think the first class was 20-something, I think. Okay. I know we still had some other members that had kind of come up, but the first couple classes, I think we got to be 40-something.
Okay.
That would have been, 1996, I think.
Okay, gotcha.
It's been a while, yeah.
No, that's good though, and that I think that could be
even earlier. I'm sorry, 92.
Okay, earlier 90s.
Yeah.
I think that is, while the fraternity life, for the lack of a better term, right, isn't always for everyone. I do think that, at least in my experience and from my time at school at UCM, right, was just a positive. It was just a positive force, right? Something that could be very helpful for people, like we said, in that sort of transformative age, but I think helps people learn about working with people, right?
But
growth,
I think that's the
development.
Exactly. How do you, because it's not just living, you learn how to have a roommate, you learn how to live out wherever, but it's just also more of, okay, how do I, when you're in a fraternity, you're working on planning an event or doing something, how do I work with people? How do you manage different personalities? How do you, if you get into a leadership role, it kind of teaches you what works, what doesn't work, and so yeah, there's a lot of pluses to it.
Yeah, it's good. Now, when you guys, I guess, basically started the chapter there, where was the house located?
The first one we had was first floor of South Todd.
Okay.
Is where we were for the first few years. Like, so then when I graduated, then they had moved out to the complex eventually.
Okay, the Octagon there, right?
Yeah,
Isn't,
which is I think is closing now. I think.
Is that right? I don't know. I know when
I could be wrong, but
when I was there, it was maybe half occupied, but people kind of moved beyond it, and had houses elsewhere, but. Yeah. For a number of reasons, I'm sure, understandably so. Yeah. But anyhow, that's good. What were there any specific, I don't know, highlights to your time at school, whether it was fraternity related, academic, social, whatever it might be? What were some of your favorite parts about school at CMSU?
School, I think, from the fraternity standpoint, I mean, it was just kind of being part of something that was just. Yeah, I wasn't in the initial rush class, but the next one.
Okay.
But just being part of a group of guys that try to figure out how to put this together and take these steps to launch something.
Yes.
Was formative, and I would say that also, just looking back, I'm still friends with a lot of those guys. Keep in touch. And now you get families and life goes on. You don't talk as much, but I think just the fact that that core group, we're still friends and talk to each other today is pretty cool.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. What was your first job out of college?
Well, actually, I moved down to the lake with the fraternity brother. We rented a place down there and was looking for finance jobs, didn't line one. So I actually was working at the Polo Outlet down there for about 6 months until I launched. I'd say my first, if you want to call it real job, was in residential lending. Okay. Back up here in Kansas City.
Working for a bank or a lender?
Yes, for a bank. And then, I was a lender backed by a bank, if you will.
Makes sense.
But then transitioned into banking and, got into commercial real estate at that point, and that was really kind of the niche and what I really, really liked, and kind of has been the focus ever since.
What was the road like from, I guess, that to what you're doing now, right? As a principal and a partner, with your own firm and your own practice.
Yeah. Well, it was interesting. So I was involved in, I guess, 2 mergers over that period of time. So just getting brought into a different company, maybe a little bit different. Not philosophy, but culture, and how do you blend all of that?
Sure.
But then also just taking different roles. So although it's all commercial real estate, you start off as an analyst, so you learn more about the numbers and what makes sense and what doesn't, and then transitioning to more of a relationship manager. So now you understand how it works, but now how do you bring in the business? How do you keep it? How do you, maintain and grow relationships? So the combination of knowing the number part of it first, like how do you underwrite a loan? How does it look? How do you package it? And then into how do you bring in the business? So coupling all that together, we're a small shop. There's just 2 of us, so we do all that. So just I think just taking those different roles and as I look back to it, my advice for younger folks would just embrace that role that you're in, even though you might be right out of school or whatever it is. Yeah, just embrace it and and work hard at it, and it'll eventually lead to something good. But soak up everything you can in the role that you're at, and it'll it just tends to grow and manifest itself from there.
Right. I think that's great advice, because I tend to agree, and even maybe getting more granular than that, right, is regardless of the role that you're in, the specific tasks and the specific things that you're working on, right? It's kind of like if you make your primary goal and your primary focus to just be the best at whatever it is that you're doing, even if it's something that you might consider arduous or tedious or whatever it might be, that again, kind of just putting in that work, right, and having that sort of approach to it is how things compound.
Exactly. Even if you think the role or the task is tedious, or you might think it's beneath you, that shines to everybody else around you.
Yes. No, absolutely.
So. Yeah.
Okay, good. And then, so your firm now, you mentioned with me a little bit, or you mentioned to me before we kind of started recording today, that you were at a bank, kind of running the commercial real estate or commercial lending side of things for
just commercial real estate. Was my focus.
Okay, so commercial real estate, and then you went out on your own by yourself for a year or so.
Yes, for just trying to put piece debt and equity together for real estate projects, developments, things of that nature, and then. The gentleman that's my business partner now, we've actually known each other for a really long time before this. And as I went out on my own, he had a development company. At the time, they had a vacant office. He's like, hey, you can use this as you're getting launched. And it just kind of grew into well, hey, why don't we tackle
Maybe
this
we should
together?
work together. Yeah.
You know, and when you add a partner, you both people have to think 1 + 1 = 3.
Right.
You know, and then,
exactly.
And combine forward. So yeah, so June of, I guess that would be 18 is when we kind of fully launched together, and 180 Capital Advisors kind of came about.
Nice.
So, yeah.
Now, I guess to somebody who's outside of the industry, right, or outside of finance for that matter, that doesn't. How would you explain? I guess basically in layman's terms, right? If you're doing debt and equity financing, what exactly does that mean?
Sure.
Or what's it look like?
Sure. Just to take an example, let's say if a group was acquiring an apartment complex.
Okay. So if a group of investors are
or a real estate company, whoever it might be, they're going to go and just so I can do math in my head. Let's say that they're going to buy a property for $10 million.
Okay.
And they need financing for that. They might be able to go out and choose and hunt it down themselves, or they could use someone like us to find is a bank the best option, is a life insurance company. There's just a bunch of different options out there. We go shop it for them.
Okay.
And then our compensation is a success. So if we close, we get paid. If not, then no harm, no foul. So that's what the debt side would look like, is we'd go find that for them. And then on the equity would be just kind of the reverse of that. If they were buying that and they had their financing in place, but then there was a gap of, we've got, $7 million in debt and $1 million of our own funds, but we need $2 million of cash to complete this whole capital stack, if you will. Then we would try to go find that for them to bring in that partnership. So
in that instance, you're trying to find people that want to buy ownership in or buy equity, I guess.
So it'd be more of a passive investment.
Yes.
So they don't have to worry about running it or what's the accounting look like or dealing with tenants and anything like that. It's just more of a passive investment.
Generate income, generate a dividend, whatever it might be. Okay,
correct.
Nice, good. That makes good sense. And you were mentioning also you guys work with people all over the country, not necessarily just right here in the United States.
Yes.
Sorry, right here in Kansas City, I should say.
Yeah. So we work with groups. Obviously here in Kansas City that we both live here. In previous lives, we both worked for companies where we did things on a national scope.
Okay.
So there are different relationships throughout the country, and reverse that. There's people who in the real estate world that really like Kansas City but don't live here. So we're kind of an arm for them, if you will. That we kind of understand the local landscape and lenders and things of that nature. So you let them focus on the project, and we'll help them navigate here locally the lending options, if you will.
Makes good sense. What do you think it is? I guess this question stems from conversations that I've had with other people in the commercial real estate space. That's not the first time that I've heard that there are people outside of Kansas City, right, that do like the area or that are interested in it. I guess from an investment standpoint or real estate standpoint. Why do you think that is?
I think a couple things. Kansas City's economy isn't based upon one industry.
Okay.
There's not. If one company goes away, you're not going to have this massive unemployment, or so we have a pretty diverse economy. And I think too, if you look at, although the values don't rise as they do, let's say in California or on the coast or Florida, places like that, it's more stable. So although the upswing may not be nearly as great, but the downswing isn't going to be. You're not going to be impacted nearly as much either. So I think it's more of a, not that real estate's ever stable, predictable, but from an investment standpoint, I think it's a little more.
Or it's less volatile, right?
Exactly.
Makes good sense. Okay, good. Now, so with that kind of being said, as far as what it is that you guys are doing, there's also this nonprofit, right? That it sounds like it's kind of developed a life of its own. And why don't you tell us a little bit more about that?
Sure. So this would be July of 2016. My wife is a nurse, and so she went with a group, a different nonprofit that we supported. They put medical teams together every once in a while and just go someplace to serve. And so they happened to pick Ghana, Africa, and my wife went with them on that particular trip. She met a young man named Isaac, which is where the name comes from, who he had never met his father, lost his mother at a very young age, spent a couple years as a kid on the streets, just getting by. But there's a man who brought him in, gave him an education, and mentored him, and this gentleman does this with a lot of people over there. Okay. And so he originally wanted to come here to go to college.
Isaac did. So that was kind of the first take of this. And between us, we have 4 kids, so we thought we don't need to have a 5th one to pay for. So let's look at what if we do a 501c3, and then with that, it's like, well, what if we do something
greater if we're going to go through this work to put this together. And my wife had said, there's a village where they had served.
Okay.
They treated how many kids that that day from until it got dark and they just had to go, and there was still a lot of people waiting. Doing some homework, she said, hey, this village has never had a school in 50 plus years of existence. There's no educational options out there. It's on an area called Lake Volta, which is very high in child, if you call it trafficking or labor. But there's kids that will, they'll be on fishing boats 12, 14 hours a day. And sometimes they're bought from their parents thinking that they're going to go be educated. But no, they're just on a boat. And I say boat, it's a canoe. It's not a big industrial fishing boat like you would think of here. It's a wooden canoe. So they're scooping water. The little ones scoop water out all day. The older ones have to dive down to, untangle nets, things of that. And then that's what they do. But when there's education, there's no need to go do that because you have education right there. So that was kind of the thought process there. So she actually traveled back out there to talk to the village and the elders and say, hey, do you even want this? And they took her to the spot, said, hey, we've wanted to build a school here, but we just don't have the funding, and the government doesn't have the money. They don't have the resources to do it. So we started that, and so then in, I guess it would have been February of 17, we broke ground on the school. And then because it's remote enough, there has to be housing for the teachers because they have to be out there during the week. So we had to build some housing. So we opened the school in September of 18, and with 62 kids enrolled, and it grew to 90, then to 100 something, and today we're at just over 200 kids, with more, I think about another, could be 40 to 50 coming.
Wow. So. But I mean, I guess what that really means though is if it wasn't for, Isaac's Dream, the people that are involved, the organization that you guys have created, that would be 200 plus children that presumably would have no other opportunity for education.
Right. The families out there, it's a very impoverished area out there in the village. So you have to have the means to basically travel across the water and have your kids stay Monday through Friday in the larger city to go to school. In the 99% of the families that they just don't have the means to do something like that. So there might be a handful, but that's really it. So so we actually have another village that they're to kind of start bringing kids to us that we're building some housing for right now, so they can stay during the week. And the village has agreed that, hey, we're going to cook for them, we'll look after them, we'll take care of them.
It's awesome.
They're away from home, and that was the village idea. That was the coolest thing, is that was their idea.
Really,
we want to share this with others. So how do we? So would you guys build this so we can have more kids coming here? So,
yeah, that's so neat. How big is the village? How many people live there?
I honestly don't know. There's 4 other surrounding villages, but they're a hefty walk. I mean, a few miles probably just on foot to get there. The second one that we've started, a satellite school, it takes us 20 minutes by boat to get over there.
Okay.
But we've asked that question too, because people kind of come and go. But it's not a huge community by any means. So. But there's more and more kids are coming.
Yeah, that's great though. Good for you guys. It's a pretty noble cause. And so I'm just curious, did it kind of, obviously your wife probably came back from this mission trip, right? She felt compelled or maybe driven, or I don't know exactly what the right word would be, but probably both. To start this, and what happened then? You guys had a conversation about it, and
well, the funny part was, so when she is out there and she's met Isaac, who's been traveling with them, and this whole thing, I get a text from her that says, "I may or may not have opened our home to an African boy," and that's kind of that's our joke with each other. So whenever one of us says, "I may or may not have," means, "Well, I did that."
I did this, yeah, of course.
So it started with that. But yeah, no, she's just been. We're Christians, and she just really felt led that this is what I'm being called to do, and that's kind of how it got going.
Good for you guys. How many trips have you made over there?
I've only been there 3 or 4 times. She's been there 11 or 12.
Okay.
So when we were building the school, she was going over about once a quarter just to make sure. I mean, although we had checks and balances in place that that money wasn't dispersed until work was done, and we had pictures and. Just to make sure we're being good stewards with people that are donating.
Sure.
But then also just to check on the progress and how everything's going. And then, she was out there to hire a headmaster and, to get some teachers and all of that. So, but once the school opened, we backed off a little bit because it's, although it's a private school and we're funding it, it's specific to their culture, to their education system. So, and we had the village form a PTA So
Oh, really? Okay.
yeah, because they're going to be part of the solution. So what we didn't want is if there was an issue with anything to be, well, let's wait for Joe and Robin to tell us what. It's like, no, you guys will be part of this solution.
Yes.
So
Okay.
the day in, day out stuff, headmaster, teachers, village, you guys form a team and work it out.
What does okay, so with that being said, so there's the school, there's the students. How many teachers are there?
We now have, we just hired 3 more. So I think we're at like 10 teachers,
Okay.
12 teachers.
Wow.
And then we have, we have a couple cooks, they prepare a meal for the kids each day as well. And then just a few guys that kind of help with maintenance. One guy just kind of camps out there at night. I mean, it's a safe area, but just kind of, it's our building. We're gonna
Yes.
we're gonna protect it. But yeah, so yeah, it just keeps going.
Are all of those, the cook, the security, for the lack of a better term, the teachers, are they all local?
Yeah, so
they are all locals.
They're all there in the village.
Okay.
And even when we built the school, our contractor is there from Ghana, and he hired local people because we wanted the money to go to work in their economy versus bringing people from the States over there to build something.
Okay.
So it's all, and then the teachers are, one is from the village, but she's just she was trying to help the younger kids, and we have kept her on just because she's a good liaison between everybody. But then we've worked with the Ghanaian education system, and they have helped us find our headmaster. They help you find the teachers. Even though it's a private school, they've been
supportive.
They've been wonderful.
Helpful.
I mean, just what can we do to help you guys? We're thankful that this is here. So
of course.
Yeah, they do all the screening for employees. As far as the teachers and the headmaster, they've been great.
That is great.
Yeah.
What's been the biggest challenge?
Oh man, financially is always. I mean, when you start, it was always you got to have so much just to start building.
Yep.
And when it has truly been my wife and I and our board that so we you get some of the money and then you can start and do a little bit more. Then you've got to keep so. In the beginning, I'd say it was just financially getting the money to complete the school and everything. And I would say now it's just more of awareness from just to keep it operating and to keep going. We have a child sponsorship program like a lot of nonprofits that do what we do. It's kind of that helps cover your overhead, to pay for teachers, to pay for supplies, things of that nature. But I work here. My wife is a nurse, so.
You guys both have full-time jobs.
Yeah, exactly. So so to continue to grow this and while still working and balancing all that out, I think so. Kind of just that time balance that at any given moment can be can be a challenge.
Mm-hmm. For someone who's listening or watching, what's one thing that someone can do to help or to learn more information or?
Sure. So. Our website is isaacstream.com,
okay.
Which we will be revamping soon. We have a Facebook page and Instagram. My wife handles all that. I think it's Isaac Stream Nonprofit is the handle on there. So, that's where they could really go to learn more. I just started a LinkedIn page a couple days ago.
I saw that actually.
Yeah, so that's brand new.
Work in progress, yeah, of course.
Yep. So that's where you can learn more information there. To learn a little bit more, and then to get involved. We always need volunteers. As we grow and do more events, we just need people that were willing to come alongside and help. We got over 100 kids that could be sponsored out there, so that
really okay.
There's an opportunity there as well. And
good. Okay, so you said that was Isaac Stream Nonprofit.
Yeah, for
just the handles on social media.
On social media, yeah, and then just isaacstream.com for the website. The .org was already taken.
Oh, really?
Yeah, somewhere else in Africa, so it's not the same. It's not the same thing, but
Okay. Now, as far as Isaac goes, has he been able to come to the United States to go to college?
He has not. So his visa's been denied a few times, and we think it's just more of being really no blood family there, no assets, no, there's just nothing that would draw him back. And so I honestly don't know why exactly, but so what we did though is his interest is film and videography.
Okay.
So we did send him to school over there.
Okay.
So he was able to complete his education. He went to work for a media company over there, and he's actually now just launching out on his own.
Good for him.
Yeah, he's going to set up a shop to sell photos online as well. and he's doing some video work over there. A lot of the photos that you'll see from us and some of the videos that we've done in the past, a lot of it is Isaac's work.
Okay.
So he does, and we just agreed he's going to start going out to the village once a month just to kind of get some videos, get some photos, check in on some things for us. So we just have another angle on that as well. But yeah, so he still wants to come here someday, and that's still a goal. But now it's just cool to watch him kind of launch into his own thing over there. Yeah.
Yeah, that's how old is he now?
He's in his mid-late 20s right
Okay.
now is where he's at. Because I think when Robin met him, I think he was 22, 23. He's probably at 27 years old now. Yeah.
Nice. Well, good. Good. I am good for you guys for doing that. I'm certainly interested. I know myself in learning more about the organization, and hopefully people can take away from this video. That's something that you guys right here in Kansas City got involved with and started, and it sounds like it's really taken off for you.
Yeah. It's been an awesome experience. It's pretty humbling too, just to look at what we have here as options, and just I think
take so much for granted.
Yeah,
right?
I think everybody needs to go somewhere. I mean, because at least for us, if you ever leave the country or even you leave Kansas City, you're usually going to someplace nicer than where you are.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah. Generally speaking.
Yeah.
Yes, that's the case.
So just to go see a place that doesn't have electricity. I mean, if we have a generator out there, we're adding some solar power, but your day is just to get through that day, right?
Yes.
Just to grind.
Survival, frankly,
exactly.
right?
Yep. Today is all about feeding everybody today.
Sure.
Versus kind of what we have over here. It's kind of it's. I would encourage everybody at least to make some sort of trip like that. At some point, it just gives you great perspective.
I bet so, because just thinking about it's kind of hard to fathom, right? The children in a village that there is no school, right?
Right.
Education isn't.
It's not
frankly, it's not really an option.
Right.
Or at least for 99.99% of them, right?
Right, and here it's what you do. Right?
Yes.
That's just
That's what you
happens.
do, right?
Yeah,
exactly. You go to school, you go to high school, you go to college.
Yep.
And not everybody, but that's kind of from when you're.
But it's easily accessible if you want to do it.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Okay, good. All right. So, I mean, So with that being said, right now you and your wife are juggling full-time jobs, juggling the nonprofit. What's the future look like for you? I mean, where do you see things for yourself, for your family, for the organization at 5, 10, 15 years from now? What's that look like to you?
We've been having more and more conversations about that. We have what would be here grade school and junior high now.
Okay.
And we're not there yet, but in a few years we'll get to the point of, okay, now they need senior high school. Mm-hmm. So do we build that in our village? Do we try to set it up where we can have some sort of program where they can now travel to go do that? My initial reaction is I'd like to have it in our village just so that it's the same system.
Yes.
But then we got to make sure
sense.
that we're providing the same quality. But we want to be a top tier school in that district. We don't, or in the so not we don't want them just to get an education, but if they do go through senior high school in the village and then they go somewhere else, we don't want that gap in education to be huge.
Yep.
It needs to be equivalent to what they could get elsewhere. So I would see 3 to 5 years of senior high school hopefully out there, for those kids, and which means more housing for teachers and more more buildings and things of that nature. But that's where I see the organization being in that time, and then on the professional side for 180, I'm hoping, I'm in my late 40s. I think this is probably, I want this to be the last thing I do, right? I don't want to go venture into another company, to another job. So I would, like to continue to, to grow this and, continue to find some niches and fill that. Because I enjoy connecting people and trying to help them solve a problem. May not necessarily be the right word, but just, to take something off of their plate to help. And, as we were discussing before, there's not a box, right? Since it's just two of us, we can figure out, I think we can help with that. Or we'd like to learn. Let's go find a way to create something versus, well, that's not what we do.
Sure.
So I enjoy that. Between that and the nonprofit, you get a chance to do a lot of entrepreneurial thinking,
absolutely.
if you will, and I really enjoy that.
Is your wife from Kansas City?
She's from Plattsburgh, so Kansas City area, but 30 minutes north, something like that.
Do you guys think, long term, do you see yourself, so you think you stay in the Kansas City area? I mean, you said it's home to you guys.
Yeah, it is. We like it here a lot. It's a great place to live. I could see there being a point where maybe there's a few months that aren't in Kansas City.
Like January?
January, February. Yeah, it'd probably be elsewhere.
Yeah.
A little further,
Understood.
A little further south here, but I see Kansas City being home. Yeah.
Good for you guys. Anything else you want to add to that as far as the organization or anything else goes before we kind of move to our next segment here?
No, I appreciate this, the platform to talk about it. Yeah.
No, absolutely, and I appreciate you taking the time to do it. So that's going to kind of lead us into our next segment here, which is called the Mule Minute, or the Jenny Jam, depending upon who the guest is here. But it's become kind of a fun segment here, and what I'm going to do, I'm going to grab the note card that I have written down here, and I'm just going to rattle through 9 or 10 questions. There's no stopwatch, there's no timer, but the idea is kind of our lightning round here, where I'm just going to fire some questions at you.
Whatever comes into mind, huh?
Yeah, exactly. Want to hear your answers. So are you ready to get started here?
Sure. Let's go.
All right. So first off, we'll start easy. One, what's your favorite place to travel?
Wow. Ghana's become a favorite of mine, but then any other place I can take my golf clubs is a close second.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. Good. Again, not Kansas City in January, probably. All right. Two, what's your favorite way to relax or unwind?
I do love golf, and I have a son that loves to do it, so spending time with him doing that. He actually goes to school in Warrensburg. So
Great.
do a lot of that. Done that, and then just even if it's watching TV or going out to eat, just downtime with my wife, hanging out together is a great way to unwind.
Spend time together. Yeah. What's the best business decision that you've made?
The best business decision I've made? I would say probably going out on my own, really. Is just now, there had to come 20 years of experience before that, to feel like I could truly go do it. But I would say, going out on my own has been very rewarding.
That's good. It's good for the entrepreneurs to hear that.
Yep.
So day one of retirement, right? So think about retirement, right? What do you do on day one?
Oh, golf, definitely.
Golf, yeah. Okay, good. I thought that might be the answer.
Golf
there.
and a great meal in there too.
Okay, good. If you could travel back in history to any time period, whether it's in your lifetime or previous to that, what period would you go back to? What are you interested in? What would you like to see?
I've always been fascinated with Abraham Lincoln. And I think just of all the presidents we've had, and I'm not making light of anything that's going on in this country, but just the things that he had to deal with.
Yes.
And to manage. So there'd be a way to shadow that guy for a few days.
Yeah. A lot to learn there, right?
A lot to learn there, yeah.
Good. What's one thing that you wish you knew earlier in your career?
I wish I knew earlier. That's a really good question. I guess that some of the things that seem like a big deal aren't. You might fret over something that really is small. Just to keep things in perspective. And
don't sweat the small stuff, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
And figure out whether it's small or not.
Yeah,
right? That's maybe the hard part.
That's the hard part.
Yep,
yeah,
exactly. All right. If you walked into an establishment and there was a karaoke machine and you had to karaoke one song, what song would you sing?
Oh wow. First of all, I'd probably try to unplug the mic. So no one wants to hear that. What's an easy song? I don't know. I had buddies in college that they like Jack and Diane. John Cougar. Well,
there you go. Good choice.
That place would clear out pretty quick.
Yeah. Well, I don't think people go to the karaoke establishments to
be
hear. Exactly. Well, they want to be entertained, but I don't think they're there for the quality necessarily. What's one profession other than your own that you have always been interested in, or what else would you be doing if you weren't doing what you're doing now?
I think it would be kind of what you guys do, the financial planning. Just kind of helping, again, because you're taking something and trying to solve for something and to add value to what people are trying to accomplish. So I think that would be what I'd be interested in.
Nice. And then lastly, what is one piece of advice that you'd give someone?
The one piece of advice, be present where you're at. I think, and I know I can still be guilty of this, but we've got, especially now, there's so many distractions with your phone and social media, and I know with what I do, I can be sitting at home, but I'm not really there. I'm mentally, I'm somewhere else. So be present and enjoy the moment that you're in right now.
That's good, because I think that we are all, hopelessly might be the wrong word, but I think that we are all, myself included, I'm just as guilty as anybody, right? It's so easy to, basically get addicted, right? To just, being on the phone, to just the constant stimulation from whatever it might be. And the fact that everybody does it, it doesn't feel like you shouldn't be doing it all the time, right? Because everywhere you go, if you go to an airport, right, and you're waiting for your plane to take off at the gate, it's like every single person sitting there on a phone, right? Yep. Doing who knows what. Maybe some people are working, playing games, whatever it might be. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. And I think, I think that technology has helped to improve our lives. But I think the advice that you're giving is critical there, that it's kind of like, sometimes you just need to put it down and just be present right where you're at,
Exactly.
regardless of where it is.
Right. Yeah. If you're at work, be present at work. But when you're at home with your family, be present with
Yes.
them. Yeah.
Yep, absolutely. Okay, good. Well, good job. Thanks, thanks for participating here. I wish I had a prize or something to give you, but I'm sorry I don't.
That's all right.
But again, thank you for your time today. It's been a pleasure to learn more about your kind of professional trajectory and career, and how UCM started as kind of the foundation, right, for some of that in those transformative years, and how that's led to Isaac's Dream, the nonprofit. Over 200 students going to school in Africa that wouldn't have been able to otherwise if it wasn't for what you and your wife started. So it's been a pleasure. Again, to everyone that's watching and listening, I appreciate your time also. As a quick reminder, I'm continuing to take new guests for the show. So if anybody has suggestions or ideas, I'm always open to that. Now that we're into a new year in 2020, the show kind of has a new home. So there's a new YouTube channel, and the podcast has remained the same, but I'm going to slow down the cadence of new episodes to make sure that our guests that come on the show, their stories are heard, and that our audience doesn't miss any of the new shows that come out. So if anybody has any ideas, suggestions, thoughts, I'm certainly open to that. But make sure on YouTube, if you search for Central Missouri Alumni Stories, that you subscribe to the show. And also, if you listen to the podcast, make sure that you like and follow the podcast wherever you've listened to them, whether that's Apple or Google or Spotify, wherever it might be. But again, I appreciate everybody's time. Joe, I certainly appreciate yours, and hope that everyone has a great day.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you.